that brings me to the point of Cedric Maxwell. That was his last title with the Boston Celtics before eventually leaving the team later on in time. And he was not on the 86 team. He was playing for the Clippers that season. I'm sure you know. But in terms of the 1985 season after 84, there was a lot to be said about Cedric Maxwell that year. Did Cedric Maxwell take his knee rehab seriously that season? And how did that affect the team pursuing the title and back-to-back titles in 1985?
You guys see what he's like. You know, his radio persona is pretty close to him. He's a laid-back guy. He doesn't really take things too seriously. And I think, you know, he obviously cared about playing, about coming back. He cared about getting paid in his free agency and how he was treated. But he would be irreverent, and he would say things for effect, just to get laughs or whatever. And Larry didn't take to that, so there was a notion that he wasn't trying hard enough to get back on the floor. And those two really that was an unfortunate split that way. And Max harbored some things. You know, Larry'd make the all defensive team, second team, stuff like that. And Max like, hey, I'm the guy guarding Dominique Wilkins and Sidney Moncrief and all these guys. Like, why is Larry getting this? So there was always a little bit of pushback about that. They all respected how great everybody was, but stuff creeps up like that, gets to you a little bit. Excuse me. So I think that was just one where, you know, Max, again, Game 7, 84, he was MVP of Game 7, 24 points, highest point total of the season, 7th game of the finals. And he took over. And that's the hop on my back thing and all that. So great that he did that. And then the knee gave out the next year, and he was never whole again with them, never whole anywhere, really. And Red didn't like it. And Red didn't like the commentary. Larry didn't like it. So he was in the doghouse to the point where that season at the end, you know, when they lose Game 6 at home in the finals to the Lakers, you know, Max didn't even get off the bench. Really, no one did. They only played like 7 guys in that game. But Quinn Buckner, Carlos Clark, Max, ML, they all stayed anchored to the bench the whole game. And that was Casey Jones, so he wasn't being grudgy. It was just they were not useful at that point. And the team that was so great during the regular season got very thin in the postseason, and they couldn't take it across.
Right, and we see today, typically in today's NBA, with all the player movement out there, typically we see players when they leave a situation, they're not so welcomed back into that situation later on in time. Are you surprised that Cedric Maxwell is as prominent of a figure in Celtics Nation as he is today?
Only because he told us we'd never see him again. You know, so when he was playing, and he went a whole year without talking, my first year, 82, 83, he was mad about some paternity suit that got written about, which wasn't me, but he took it out on everybody and didn't talk for the year. And but after that, he was back to being a quote machine, which he to this day is. But he would always say, "You'll never see me again," and he honored that for quite a few years once he was done. After the trade, then he finishes up, and we didn't. And then he needed a job, and he got the job. He was good at it. And Red finally yielded, and he got to be in the rafters. So all those things were nice. And now you can't shake him. He's everywhere, which is great because he's really entertaining and he's good at his job, and he's got the gravitas of having been MVP of the finals in 81 and 2 championships, all that good stuff. So yeah, it's surprising because of the dialogue he gave us back then. You'll never see me again, and he honored that for a while. But now it's the total opposite. So it's good to have him back.
Gotta love cornbread. Gotta love cornbread.